Joe, you're back again.
Good morning. Yes, I'm back.
All right, so I'm feeling better about your decision to leave the hospital now that you've made it like another week. That was the litmus test.
Yeah, I'm better. I'm getting better every day. I got the I don't know if I said this, but I had like a drain, like a tube sticking out of my side.
Yeah, I don't know if you said it on air or not, but you and I, we definitely talked about it. Did you say that in the past tense? Is the tube gone?
It's gone. Yeah. So I had this that I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about it, but there was like a tube that was sticking out of my side, and it went into like a bag, and it was draining fluid, and so I had to carry around this bag with my juices in it.
Did you like ferment them or anything? Like make some no Joe kimchi? No.
It was I can't even think about it. I can't.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand the physics of it. You know, you think if you're punctured in your side that the blood should be coming out of it, but it's just in there and it was sucking fluids out of me. So
just hanging out.
Anyway, that's quite a way to start the program here.
But I feel like it's a solid measuring stick of improvement. Like I don't have anything tangible where I can be like, well, I did have dead, dying. What's the word?
Infectious.
Putrid self fluids contained in a personal carrying satchel. And now I don't have that.
And now certainly a milestone of my recovery. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm glad we could joke about it, but, so yeah, that seems really good. So you're not draining anything anymore. And that does indicate to me, unless you yanked the tube out, you are still under a doctor's care. You haven't just abandoned all modern medicine here, right?
No. I mean, even when I left the hospital, I was like discharged and everything. I just had to do some convincing to get me out of there. Yeah.
I know, but all right, cool. So it's going well is what we're saying here.
Yeah. It's going well.
All right.
I feel good. All
right. Yeah. I'm very glad about that, man. I was concerned. How's you still on soup? Did you eat anything this week? What's going on?
Yeah, actually, so I went to see the surgeon who's going to do the appendectomy in a few weeks, and he was like, "Yeah, you should eat normally." Now, I don't know, eating normally for me is it might be a little different than what he's thinking.
Do I need to come get a ribeye on the grill and some red wine going?
So I'm keeping it cool. I mean, I'm trying to be healthy. Plus, I lost like a whole bunch of weight.
You're there, like your year goal was met, right? You just got to flatline the rest of the way now, right? You've done the hard work now.
Yeah, yes. I just want to I want to like rebuild smartly. You know what I mean? I just want to be. So I don't want to go nuts and go, oh yes, I can eat normally pizzas. Let's just have a bunch of pizzas.
Yeah, so, the crazy rebound, right?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was so I'm eating healthy. I'm eating normally though, so it's all right.
Okay. All right, good, man. Well, I will let go of the interrogation of your gut, and we'll get on with things. We'll move on in life.
How have you been? How's your week been?
Hectic as usual. I kept it. I kept up my odd pace. So I did Green Bay, Wisconsin scaled up expos last weekend, and then I got snowed in. And I didn't actually. It wasn't because Green Bay got a ton of snow. It was because Minnesota got a ton of snow. And I would have been driving into it at about, 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. And I'm not sure how everybody envisions Western Wisconsin, but there's not much. So being in a ditch in a snowstorm with your son and your snakes isn't a good, like,
yeah.
If I'm going to die an early death, I want it to be a rock and roll one, not, Florida boy
Tried to get through a snowstorm.
Yeah, tried to get through a snowstorm. So what I did was, we just got a room for an extra night in Green Bay and hit the road the next morning. So,
well, that's an adventure. And Charlie was with you then.
Yeah. So Charlie came, then did the show with me. We had a little father-son getaway. Some of the dynamics are, as a microcosm, me going to Tinley, I call it the home tax. If I'm in Tinley working very hard for 4 days, I better have something planned with the kid very quickly afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that makes sense.
But I had back-to-back out of town. I call them hotel shows because I only do a handful of hotel shows a year where I have to get a hotel. But they were back-to-back hotel shows, and then I got the snowed in thing, and Tinley's my longest weekend of the year. So anyway, I think I just got everything caught back up yesterday. Like I'm looking at like my dish pit, like my dishes are done. I'm back on rotation on everything. So I'm feeling good. I got some sleep. I got to say, I watched my Tuesday night episode, and you ever have those days where you look yourself in the mirror on camera and you're like, dude, you look rough, man. You're like, oh,
that's why I don't watch this show.
Yeah. Well, so, I shaved everything, man. I was like, you know what? I'm caught up. Time to start fresh on Thursday morning. I got a good night of sleep last night. So here I am. I'm feeling good.
How was the Green Bay show? Like, what was that like?
It was good. I mean, I made money. It was okay. I didn't make that much money because I was feeding an extra mouth. And I was feeding an extra mouth casino. Like they have like resort prices. Like if you're playing in a casino, they'll hook you up.
Yeah.
But if you're just staying there, the burger for the kid was $30.
Ay. Eesh.
I have worked and run some highfalutin places in my life where I could sell a $30 burger, and I have never sold a $30 burger, much less bought one. So it cut into the numbers a little bit. I did make money. Extra night hotel, unanticipated. It did cost me a day of work with my clients on Monday as well. So that Green Bay show, that got a little tough. It's building, it's working. Heck, Snake X in the audience said they managed to pick up some of my ASFs from one of their buddy that picked up some of my ASFs. I mean, it's building. But Green Bay's on the list. Like Green Bay's got to produce for me. I got a couple more Green Bay shows this year, but if Green Bay doesn't pick it up a little bit, I'm gonna send it down the river,
Okay. So when you go to the shows now, do you do you just bring the snakes? Is there a reason to bring the ASFs?
If I have pre-sales, I'll bring the ASF. So somebody, there was only a couple customers, but a couple people said, hey, could you, and they actually want to breed them. They said, hey, could you bring a sexed amount of males and females for me, and what price? And so, so I brought those, but they're not actually allowed in the venue. Usually there is one show that I do that they are allowed. So that's a deal that gets done in the parking lot. They're warm-blooded mammals. You make a little cage that has a food hopper and a water bottle for them. They're okay to stay out in the truck.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
They're kind of self-sustained. And I picked up some, like in the same way I picked up some live rats at the show as well.
And when you say I got behind on some clients on Monday, so forgive me, but like, what do you mean by that? Like what clients?
My food and beverage consulting
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Business. I still have that business. So usually, like Jessica and I talk about this a lot from the holdback rack. Shows are easier for me because I don't take off from work. I don't use up PTO. That's not part of the equation where it is for some people. But this time, because of the snow in Green Bay, I actually did lose a day of work with those clients. Now, in theory, I can make it up on a Saturday. You know, it's not loose on how I bill them, but it's loose on when I work, and I bill them the hours that I work. So I just got to find more time, which throws off the routine and schedule and all that. And honestly, I'm not going to. That money it's gone. So that's all right.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So it wasn't the best week, but it was a great improvement over the last time I was in Green Bay. And I am a believer in building a business and building my name. And my brand.
When was the last time you were in Green Bay?
Well, good context for you to ask. It was November, and it was a Packer home game.
Okay.
On a Sunday. You're not gonna. Yeah. What do we do? What fight are we picking here? We're gonna go into Green Bay and sell some snakes
against the Packers.
Like, I liked the promoters, and I actually, it was great. I had dinner with the promoters on Saturday night when I got into town. But seriously, what I got to put in all that work? It's my longest drive. It's a hotel. It's $30 burgers. I'm not going up against the Packers on the show this year. Like, if it's a home Packer game, I'm going to have to politely bow out, I think.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Because you mentioned you brought Charlie to the show and everything. So I'm curious. I'm going to ask the people who are listening. Do they have children? How involved are their children in the snakes and the breeding and the shows and things like that? I'm kind of interested in that. The other thing too is like I don't even think so. I've done so many different things in my professional life that it's just kind of like my stepkids kind of just go, yeah, Joe works at something. I don't really know.
He's a businessman, right?
Right. So they just like, I think they're kind of like, well, I guess he does taxes now. I don't know. Right. But like when you're a kid, like you go, I think, oh, my dad was a teacher. My mother worked at a daycare center. Like I knew that my dad was a teacher, and I would tell people, oh, he's a physics teacher and all that. Like, what do you think? Like, what does Charlie like tell his friends? Like, oh, my dad's a snake breeder.
I've thought about this. So for the past certainly 3 years and some time before that, snake breeding and live music. I mean, that's all that Charlie's seen. Like, if you asked him what a food and beverage consultant was, or if he's ever met one in his life, he'd be like, I don't know what that means. Never met one.
Right.
He has no idea. So the other thing with Charlie, and he's probably playing his video game on the other side of the wall right there. The other part of Charlie's never let some facts get in the way of a good story, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I think that's like his teachers and his friends. That's like his personality, his charisma. He's got these big stories and big adventures and all that. And oh, by the way, my dad breeds serpents and plays rock and roll and they're probably like, sounds good. Okay.
All right, good.
When that actually is
that's actually what's going on. There's no tall tales there.
Right. Yeah. That's the actual thing. So, but no, he's pretty, I gotta give him more credit than what I'm painting. And by the way, guys, he just turned 12. So this is like a wonderful time of life when things should be fantastic and you get a pass for whatever, you're figuring out things in life. He does pretty well on the balance. He's starting to understand the context of maybe not everybody wants the knowledge that dad has 200 snakes in his basement, and that could be perceived as a certain way
Oh,
in
okay,
the,
okay.
so he's gotten better about, we kind of filter where we broadcast that and how we broadcast it. And then
Yeah.
the rodents are even a whole other level of consideration. Like Kelly's parents have no idea that there's a rodent farm here.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've come to visit. Yeah, we don't even talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. So, you make certain I was
And
gonna
is
say
that's
social what's
that would be
that?
Kelly, that would be Kelly's decision
Yeah.
to go,
Yeah.
let's
Let's
not
just
tell
not
my
bring,
parents.
we don't have to lie, but if we don't bring it up, chances are good we're not gonna have to lie about it.
Chances are they're not gonna out of the blue go, "Hey, do you have a bunch of rats?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Are those out there? Yeah.
it's not a question that comes up in conversation during over dinner.
No, no. But with several glasses of red wine, as I'm prone to enjoy with our family,
Yeah.
there's been some close calls of it coming up over dinner because I enjoy them. I think it's a very neat thing. But I've been asked as a,
Gotcha.
hey Adam, I do a lot. I put up with a lot. Could we by chance just keep this a little quiet for an evening or two?
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Right.
I was just curious. Like sometimes I go, well, I haven't really done like it would be so great to be like, oh, like for my kids when they were younger, especially. Uh I thought, oh, it'd be cool to be like something that they could tell people that I am, not like uh you know, oh, my dad's a corporate trainer or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's not like sexy. Like like I always thought, oh, it'd be cool like if they could say, "Oh, my stepdad's a firefighter," or something like that.
Well,
But
but they
you
could
have,
if they practiced it, they could say that.
I guess, but I don't want them to lie.
No, I know.
But
I get your point.
I, but but I mean, Charlie can go, yeah, my dad's a snake wrangler and he's a rock and roll guy.
Well, so a few thoughts. One, the easy one is it makes for good like dinner party conversation. Like if we get invited over for happy hour, clear the slate for an hour. I'm gonna get interrogated about snakes. That's fine, and it's cool.
And
And
you don't care about that? Like it doesn't get like, oh gosh, I gotta talk about work.
no, it's neat. It's fun. I love it. It's cool.
Yeah.
So that's okay. To what you were talking about, I, you know, I used to love like my professional identity. I really, really did. And then I got kind of jaded and disenfranchised. And now I'm like, why? I wouldn't say why would anybody care? Because I want everybody to be proud and happy with what they do. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I'd rather be known for almost anything other than what I do to earn money. Like that's just
Yeah.
me talking now. Like that's probably me, like self, congratulations, Adam. Yeah, here you're great. You could say you don't care about that anymore. So I get it, but I do remember being like, yeah, there was a point in time where I'm like, what's it like the Office Space? I'm the assistant director of food and beverage,
Yeah.
TPC
Yeah.
Sawgrass, the PGA Tour. Like, how many
Yeah.
words can I put in my title? Oh, I'm gonna go on line 2 on my title. Like, okay, let it
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Like the one thing that I actually am really proud of in my professional career is that I've done so many different things. It's probably not the best. Like I'm sure I'd be much farther along financially, and I'd probably be better off, for retirement and stuff later on if I had just stuck to one thing and just did that and just kind of sucked it up. And but one thing that I am very proud of is that I've tried to do so many different things and I've like a vast array of different things. And I really, really like that. But it's not something that my kids would go, oh yeah, oh yeah, Joe's a career hopper. He tries different things, and we're real
no,
proud of him.
but I think the lesson should. I mean, I hope this is me spinning it some, but I hope that the lesson would be you chased happiness over just, you know, a ledger line, and everything's always relative. For my 2 cents, now I don't see behind the scenes any struggles, challenges, hard decisions, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty good little compound you and Chelsea got there, man. I like it. It's a nice place. So I don't know if you need a pat on the back, but it's a pretty good place, you know?
Yeah, well, I've been very lucky, very fortunate, and you know, to your point too, like Raleigh and Aiden, they don't think about what I do. They care about who I am,
Yeah,
you know, and they like hanging out with me, which
things
is
have
all.
been they see the love and the care and you know, so hey, there's 25 people hanging out right now, man.
25. Here we go.
So thank you, audience. This strategically, I did put it in the title, Joe. One thing I did this week, because I want to get the in the very like Adam proper royals kind of way, I want to get the audience's help on something.
Okay.
So one of the things I did this week in Minnesota, unlike Florida, if you sell anything and collect any revenue, you have to register with. You don't have to legally. You have to register with the Minnesota Secretary of State so that you will pay your state sales taxes, and you have to pay your state sales taxes once a month. Every month you got to pay them.
Right.
So I did that because I want to be legal and above water and blah, blah, blah. But it turns out there's good things that go with that too. So I got an email out of the blue from something, but it was clearly tied to my business registration, but it was also tied to the University of Minnesota Carlson School of Business Management, and it's an entrepreneur competition. And to cut to the chase, most importantly, there's $400,000 of grant money that they give out for.
Look out.
That's what I'm saying,
Fantastic.
right? Now we're intrigued, right? Of grant money, no strings attached. You have to have less than $1 million of gross revenue a year. I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm still under that threshold. I just made it under that. I'm good there. And you have to be legitimately based in Minnesota. And the idea is to be entrepreneurially, is that an adverb, driven? And and then there's 9 categories. Now, that's all the fun part. The hard part comes now, and the hard truth comes now. This is all funded and driven by, I think, grads and businesses that want to find venture capitalist endeavors to invest in and to mentor and grow, and eventually either own part of the company or to buy the company out.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So there is that part of it, which is a great part. I mean, honestly, if you start something in the tech world or really innovative, earth changing, that's the whole goal. Build the company to the big enough part where somebody else buys you, and then you go sail off on a yacht or whatever. So I don't think I'll be doing that. However, they do award seed money, investment money as a prize without any strings attached. So I'm not looking for the venture capital investors. I don't think. Maybe I need that, but maybe they can.
Okay, let's just stop there. So you said I wouldn't do that. Why wouldn't you do that? Well, I have a theory, but why wouldn't you?
Well, on the surface, I don't necessarily think I don't want to give my company away on the surface. And secondly, I don't know that I need it. And I don't like the idea of owing. I don't know. I like the direction I'm going. I would love mentorship. I don't know that I would like the obligation of literally being partially owned. So that's for me. However, I would be open to it if somebody said, holy cow, I see the path, I see your vision, we need to set this on fire, and here's what $100,000 could do for you. Well, you would have my attention. I got to say, I would be interested or intrigued anyway. So it's not just to sign up and see how you do. So you got to fill out this whole entry form, and it starts with the elevator pitch, and then your business plan, and then are you pre-revenue? What accomplishments, what achievements have you made? What sort of trajectory are you on? And then that takes you up to like where you're at right now. And then most importantly, where are you going in the future? And what would you, kind of fill in the blank? What would you do with the money? What do you think that your future revenues are going to be? And how are you innovating? What's your value proposition? What do you bring to the market? What problem are you solving? Why do you go into the market? So when I got thinking through all that, the whole world of proper royals is a little bit more than I put two snakes together, they pop out a third snake, and I take somebody's money.
Right.
And I'm proud of that. It's fun. I've evolved, I've innovated, I've grown and figured out how to, bob and weave. And so anyway, I got thinking about it, and I put the application on hold. I got the elevator pitch part down, but the rest of it, I actually would love to share publicly, get people's input. I'll probably do it on Instagram, and then people can email me or converse. And then this is where relationships really come in handy. I'm probably going to reach out to some of the kind of the industry giants that are aligned. So maybe not the giants of ball python breeding, but shipping giants, equipment manufacturing giants. They've gone through this. They've gone through not necessarily the competition, but making tough investment choices, talking to investors. Most of those companies are not just singular minded, one man, one woman shows, because you can't do everything by yourself. And generally you would hedge your losses on funding everything yourself. And I'm not quite at that size where I need to think that way, but I also believe that thinking that way could get me to the size that I need to be to think that way. Like it's sort of the act like the position you want to have before you have it. So that's what I got going on. The deadline is April 12th. So I got 2 weeks to really fine tune and really think this through.
Even just doing this is a good, no matter what happens, it's just a good exercise for your vision. And
that's right.
I feel like I assume, because I know you, that you do have a clear vision of what you're going to do, what the trajectory is. But actually, when I think about you doing this project, the question does arise: where are you in 5 years? What's the what is going? Where are you going with this? Like right now, in my mind, I think your main mission is to be, well, not mission, but your goal is to be sustainable, to be profitable, to make sure that you have money coming in, and you can survive and do this. But in terms of the brand, in terms of the company, in terms of what you want this to be, there's some specifics that I'm a little hazy on, actually.
Yeah. So, one thought, you're absolutely right. And I want to be clear. Like, the money is great. I hope I win. I hope I win some money. I'm not going to win 400,000. By the way, so last year they split 400,000 up among 11 different
400,000 people.
Right. Yeah. There was a lot of entries. No, they split it up over across 11. No, not 11, 21. Excuse me. There was a one at the end. 21 different recipients, with the highest person or the highest company gaining 85,000. So it's not an even split. And then I guess the flip side of that would be, somebody could do the math, but so 20 recipients, 80,000. So an average of 4,000 a piece, but the high end getting 85. So it's, there's probably a very low chance that I actually get any money from it. But participating, interacting with people, there should be some mentorship, learning, and growth is the thing. And one of the things I've found is I used to be very, very active with my peers, my colleagues, and my competitors. I'm fairly active with that in shows, but not really from a business sense. The shows are fun hangout. There's a little bit of education. There's a little bit of business that we talk, but there's not the sort of the professional classroom setting that you would find in business meetings or visiting other clubs or food competitions or hosting trade groups. You know, we used to, one of the great things about working in one of the nicest properties in town or in a market was that we would host professional groups. So there were Club Managers Association of America, this massive group of, you know, it's a really great resume line. So everybody joins it and you got to attend certain number of meetings. And there we would have a room of 500 of our colleagues and peers. So you could meet, pick their brains, recruit them, get recruited, all of those things. I don't really have that at my fingertips. I do go seek it out, but I don't have it at my fingertips. But having those business-minded individuals at the university, at the School of Management, with real money on the table and a structured actual, they call it a competition. I don't know that there's anything head-to-head, and I don't know that there's anything, I don't know what happens after the application. So,
gotcha,
anyhow, I want to go through that. I want to try it. I want to check it out. And it's also, I've done a lot in business, but I've always done it as an operator for other people's business. I've never gone through this as my own business owner.
Okay, I see. And you know, one of the things I really like that you want to get people who know you involved in the planning. I think that's one of the steps of a good strategic planning is to survey the people that know your product and know your brand and know your company, and ask about, well, what are the things that they know about you? What are the things that they like about your company? What are the things that they want to see more of? And that really kind of gives direction about your strengths and your weaknesses and where the opportunities and threats are.
Yeah, and it makes me think through how part of my challenge is, how do I succinctly state, like, again, not to quote Office Space from my business experience, but when the consultant goes, what is it you'd say you do around here? Like, I need to succinctly be able to say, I breed ball pythons, I breed feeders for the ball pythons, I have ad revenue platform, and I build a community which also generates some revenue and community business relationships kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get that down. I need to polish that. I need people to understand very quickly. And to Keith's point, are you including the rodents, the Tuesday night show, this show? Yeah, Patreon, finding sponsors, balancing those relationships. All of that has to go into it. And I think then it starts getting really neat. I think one of the legs up that I'll have is that there's a neat factor. There's an intrigue factor. I don't know that anybody else will have that on there. Now, same thing. Anybody in Minnesota, you should go do this. What's the worst that can happen? You don't make the money. Okay. Don't cost you anything, you know? So,
but it's like anything, but it's like almost anything in your life, I think, is if you take the time, there's this thing that you're doing, that you are ensconced in, that you are just doing every day, keeping it moving, keeping it going, and then taking a little bit of time to reflect on what it is you're doing, to articulate, put it into words. It actually becomes more manageable, even if you put into words and it doesn't quite capture the whole thing. Maybe it doesn't quite get to everything that you're doing, but if you articulate it and you put it into definable words, it actually makes it. It's one of the things that makes things more manageable. It kind of goes. You kind of go, okay, this is what I'm doing, and it helps you to go, this is the direction that I'm going in. This
That's
is what
right.
I can tell people. And then it also helps you to go, this is what I'm not doing, which I think is more of a company killer than anything else, is when
Yeah.
you start to take on too many different projects. Yeah.
Well, and I think that goes to mission statement, purpose points, values. Like you say, if you can reduce that all down to as few bullet points as necessary, don't make them less than necessary, but as few bullet points as necessary, you suddenly have this North Star that guides you. I've seen it in great companies. To this day, I remember the purpose points of the PGA Tour. I remember the mission statement of the resort in North Carolina that I still consult for. So good companies have a clear vision of who they are, what they are, and why they are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have that. And I did go through those exercises, but I need to re-examine that because I've evolved from when I went through that. I've evolved. And I actually, guys, if you're bored, I mean, it's a long time. And this is from North Carolina, but I did a whole video on why purpose and mission are important. And I dive into the philosophical business minutia, and you just have distracting headsets. That's what it is, Joe.
I know. I see.
So
I know this is like I don't know. I'm some kind of android with these things on.
I got mine. I got it. Mine got to be shinier. I'm gonna put some rhinestones on mine. I'll be the rhinestone. Those of y'all that don't know, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, Shannon is at Green Dragon Brokers, good friend, and Tradesman Exotics is Tito. And Tito is one of the very first breeders I ever met in Jacksonville, and he also provided my live ASFs for me. So those two guys got me, were a big part of me getting started. Yeah, I'm going to be bedazzled, man. That's right. We're going to have the
I'm actually really excited about you doing this exercise, and I'm really like, I hope that I love, like, one of the things that I think is one of your strengths is your transparency. So I would like to continue when you're finished with this project, to actually kind of look at it and talk about it on this show and go, okay, is this what you're really doing? Is this, I mean, and have that conversation, learn more about how to put something like this together, and really, and then get to know what your vision is, get to know where you're going. I think that's I'm excited about it, to hear about this.
Thanks, man. I think there's also, in the future, if this goes where I want it to, I'm going to need to outgrow this space. And the next space I have, I want it, well, we all want it perfect, but I want it engineered with everything that I've learned to this point. I don't want Adam doing the ceiling work. I don't want Adam doing the plumbing. I don't want Adam installing the HVAC back there. That's cool that I could do all that.
Yeah.
But there's a reason I'm not an HVAC installer. There's a reason I'm not a plumber. There's a reason I'm not a drywall guy. I want to take everything I've learned, and I want it engineered and built out properly and perfectly. And that is going to take significant money that I'm probably not going to write the check for myself. The reality is I'm probably going to go to a bank when the time comes and when it makes sense. And a bank is going to ask me the very same questions that this competition is going to put me through. Yeah, Rick talked about the application.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, you're super big brain, man. Stop making excuses. Get in there, man. So it's good practice. So even if I get kicked in the teeth and they laugh at me, the next time that I want money from somebody, I'm going to go, why did the last person kick me in the teeth and laugh at me?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something new in my life that I've encountered recently in the past few years. There's bank money, but then there's private investment money. Mm-hmm. There are people everywhere with money.
Mm-hmm.
do I care where the money comes from as long as the terms are right and I'm doing business with an honest person that cares? And maybe, so I don't want to get too personal here, but for example, my remaining, which isn't much, but my remaining mortgage is actually privately financed by somebody who doesn't want to take the risk. They're at a stage in their life. They don't want the market risk, but they want more interest than a savings account will provide for them.
Mm-hmm.
They think Adam's a good investment and I get a better rate than the bank would offer me on a mortgage.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah, very good. So I lucked into that one, but maybe I could create that in the future with something else. So that all of this plays into that. And to bring it all back full circle, between here and Green Bay, there are a lot of farms and a lot of high-tech farms and a lot of high-tech outdoor farm buildings.
Okay.
And that's where I was like, I'm going to have me one of those one day. It's going to be full of snakes and rats and rodents and a big Proper Royals logo on the side of the building. So I'm going to figure this stuff out one of these days. 31 people. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
It's Joe. We've been yammering on. Thank you. We've been yammering on. This is a pretty good show. We've been at this 40 minutes and we haven't gotten to the whole fish in the pond thing, man.
Right.
Let's get to that in a second, because it's a really opportune time to tell people about Kreative Genetics. That's Keith out in Fresno, California. I gotta remember where everybody's at, man. Fresno, California. Keith is working with the Stranger gene, and he's working it into many recessive projects for sure. Clown, VPI, Pied, and he's got snakes for sale. So check out Kreative Genetics. You can link to him down in the description. I also want to let everybody know it's a great time to check out the Proper Royals Patreon. You could join for as little as $7 a month. And the two higher tiers, actually, all the money converts to store credit. I take care of all the fees. In that way, I actually lose money on the Patreon. But every Thursday, I put out a new, just a short business topic. And today I'll be talking about my favorite equation in business. So we get into kind of the nuts and bolts, the spreadsheet lines, the dollars and cents. So that'll be out today, plus a great community. So check it out. I'll be updating the Patreon offerings today, actually, clarifying that. After a year, I've looked at what's worked, what I could do better, how I could streamline it, and all that's going to start rolling out. So check out Patreon if you haven't recently. Fish, Joe. Here's what I've been thinking of lately. I'm constantly thinking about what's going on in the market. How do I fit into the market? And how do I reach the people that are in the market that makes sense for me? Okay. And the easiest analogy, not the most right, because I've been trying to shoehorn this show in my mind, is the size of the fish and the size of the pond. We've all heard the big fish, little pond analogy, and the little fish, big pond analogy. And then I asked myself, what size fish both am I and do I want to be? And what's the appropriate size pond for it? I'm a firm believer, very firm. I could be wrong. Sam's got a great question. I don't have the answer for it, but you guys should check out Sam's question in the chat. That's a great question. I don't know about colubrids, but there are people that do. I firmly believe there's a market and an appetite for every item, every flavor out there, whatever widget it is. We're coming up on what, 9 billion people in the world. There's somebody out there that will buy what you're putting out.
Okay.
How do you activate those people is how you determine whether you stay in business or not, in my opinion. I find it analogous to the election. It's not who changes enough minds. It's who activates their base the best.
Who activates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we all agree on that, but it's another example, and we don't have to dive into that. God forbid we have to dive into that. So Tinley, the biggest Tinley Park show, the biggest pond that I could ever dive into. Literally, the Mount Rushmore, at least of modern reptiles, is in that room. I'm vending in the same marketplace as those people.
Yeah.
Probably not a big surprise that I don't do well. I don't do great at Tinley.
Right. Yeah.
My fish size to my pond, I might not know what those two things are, but they're not in alignment at Tinley. So I either better be prepared to lose money as a business expense in my mind, or convince myself that makes sense to do. Or I better innovate or grow myself into that size pond. Or I guess the third option would be to reduce the size of that pond, but we're not going to do that's not real. That's not going to happen.
Take people out.
Yeah, geez, so we're not going to do that. So that disjointed fit it's not in alignment. And again, big surprise, I don't do great at that show. The Minneapolis show, Cold-Blooded Expos is the promoter. One of the best, right up there with Tampa Repticon, one of the best kind of local regional shows I've ever seen. Not even right up there, on par with the Tampa Repticon.
Okay.
Fantastic show. Not necessarily attracting a huge amount of national breeders, but they're attracting enough national breeders to really make it a spotlight show. But there's a hobbyist curious, future breeders, breeder curious, and it's in my home market. Okay. Smaller pond. I'm still the same fish, but pretty in alignment. And now, big surprise, my best one-day show I've ever done was at that last Minneapolis Cold-Blooded Expo. Then on even farther down, and I pick on the Davenport show. There's nothing wrong with the people of Davenport or the town of Davenport. That particular show on that particular day, one of the other vendors came to me literally and said, "Your stuff is probably too nice for this show." Now, in my mind, I'm the first person to be self-deprecating and humble. So I went, "That's kind of you. You've seen me on the internet. So, you think I'm some sort of celebrity. I'm not. I'm here schlepping it. And I even joked with him. I was like, I got Enchies here for $40 or Enchie het pieds or whatever you could buy for $40.
Yeah.
And they kind of joked and laughed about it, but it did stick in my mind. Now I had never vended in that market before. I'm not from that market. There weren't that many people in the door, but I did nothing at that show. Again, disjointed. Maybe I was a bigger fish. I don't know. I truly don't in my heart think I'm too big of a fish for any show. But if it's a tiny, tiny pond, does it make sense to go do? Does it make sense if it's nothing, to Jessica's point that we've talked about a lot, if it's nothing but the very, very, very entry level pet buyer that is never going to spend $200, much less $2,000 on a snake, does it make sense to even get into that pond? And I go through this exercise because, well, first, it's fun. It's a fun, intellectual exercise. But there's also real cost and real expense, both dollars, but also my time. Doing 26 shows is a little bit bonkers, and I felt like it's a little bit bonkers. Again, if I watched the show Tuesday night, I looked like absolute, like, I can't even say on my show here. And it was because I was just so tired and exhausted, man. And you can't do good work when you're tired and exhausted. You're not focused, and you're behind and you're scrambling and blah, blah, blah. Well, part of that is deciding what shows make sense to do and what shows don't make sense to do. And one metric is pure dollars. Did I make money at that show? Well, that'd be great to do again. But I think looking at the pond, the fish analogy does bring context to the potential. There's been shows that I had, like the last Green Bay show, Packer Day. I didn't do well at it, but I looked at the people in the room. I looked at the venue, and there was business happening in the room. It just wasn't happening with me.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That it's in pretty good alignment. Now the overhead costs are a little bit challenging. I talked about that, but just on the fish pond discussion, I decided I'm going to keep doing that show. Some other shows I'm pretty close to walking away from, because even though, and I did okay at one of them, but I don't know that the potential is there to grow. That might be capped out, and doing okay and being capped out maybe still doesn't make sense to continue doing.
Yeah.
You know, just as a badge of honor, what I got to do 26 shows like I'm some sort of, you know.
Well, I mean, you're talking about all of these shows, and I mean, you're basically prioritizing them, right? You're going through and going, these larger shows, I'm the small fish.
Right.
What's the potential for my mission and vision there? And then you have the Minneapolis show, which is your bread and butter. And that really works. And then you have Davenport, which is, but the purpose of you going to those, let's just use those as the models for each of those, each area, small pond, big pond, medium pond.
Right.
Your purpose for going there is different for each one. So maybe you behave differently at each one of those. First of all, you prioritize those, and if it's not financially feasible, I think you go, okay, I'm not going to do Davenport this year. But the purpose for going to each one of those is different. So maybe it's not the same proper royals at each show. Maybe you're showing a different part,
right?
Of
you're bringing different
what the brand
animals.
is at each one of those. And it's not, and it wouldn't just be about the animal, or the things that you're bringing there. It would be about how you're behaving there, I think, because and this all goes back to your, one of the questions of this application, which is, what is your value proposition? What is the thing that makes you different? But in each of those ponds, what's the thing that makes you different in each of those ponds? In the small pond, so for me, it's a no-brainer. Keep doing the shows like Minneapolis.
Oh, that was a slam dunk. That one's easy.
That's the top priority, right?
Right.
So it's full force. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing there, right? So, but then, like for a place like Tinley, that's more about, to me, that's more about meeting the right people, having dinner, socializing, networking, making sure that the brand is becoming more and more known. So maybe you're doing something differently, like you're offering time slots for 15-minute educational talks at your booth or something like that,
right?
Something that is different than, so that would be the value proposition for that particular show. And then for the small shows, I think those are less of a priority, right? So like someplace like Davenport, but also one of the things that I've heard you talk about is elevating the industry, is having people understand what the industry is. This is why we do what we do, is, you're bringing people in, you're getting them. So, but that seems to be less of a priority for your mission and vision, but I still think that it's important. So
I think it's important, and it's got to get weighed in. So if for example, the Davenport show were in a Minneapolis suburb, I actually would still go do it for just what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't do the 5 hours, the hotel,
right. Yeah.
the disappointment, and then the ride home.
The disappointment is
No,
the most important thing.
the disappointment tax is a big, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But if it were local here for just what you're talking about, I would. There are days at the office where you don't necessarily make a penny, but you do good for your brand, and you didn't have anything else going on anyway. I didn't take off work. I didn't take PTO. It's not even football season. Why don't I go do something? Okay, that's fine. It's not in Davenport though. It's got to be. It would be here. Right. What's interesting though is even the small suburb shows here in Minneapolis, I do well in, because I built my brand. I focused my brand in Minneapolis. I run brand ads in the Minneapolis markets on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, look, it works if you work it, kind of thing. So, it's kind of, it's this weird circular thing. One thing you brought up that I think is at the part of at the crux. Okay, so we want to fit in the pond that we're in, but we also want to bring something different, because that's wherein lies the value proposition. And you want to elevate what's being offered. So how different, how elevated do you go without alienating the pond? So it doesn't make sense. Look, there's restaurants that sell Kobe beef, Wagyu steaks, and there's McDonald's. And frankly, we know which one is going to make more money in the long run. But does that single chef operator and owner selling the Wagyu, he's got a great life. He's fine. Maybe he's not, but we're going to say he is. And McDonald's is probably fine. I don't know if they're fine or not, but we'll call them fine. So my point is, there's a ton of different ways to do it, but nobody's selling Wagyu in McDonald's, and nobody's selling McDonald's in this guy's white tablecloth restaurant. They know what pond they're in. They know what they're offering. So how do you, and this is sort of a philosophical thing, which I think is really where the value is for the audience. How do you know what to offer in what pond, and get those two sliding scales as close to each other is where the sweet spot of making money and revenue is,
Somebody earlier said, at these shows, are there breakout sessions? Are there things like seminars and things, and maybe in like some kind of conference room or something that people can go to, and even that, part of Proper Royals is bringing the word of this industry to people who are new to it or want to learn more. And I think even, I mean, you've met people now at Tinley. I mean, is there a way that you become, or someone becomes, this organizer of these sessions where people can learn and grow and or even talk, or panel discussions or something like that? I don't know if that takes place or not. To me, here's the thing. If you stay in Minneapolis, that's the Wagyu beef thing, right? Or that's the local, I can think of bars, right? That's the local bar that everybody loves and everybody goes to, and you're just going to get good stuff there and everything. Right. A place like Tinley is going to be like the big franchises, where, you're going to go there and maybe it's about going there and showing a local flavor or something, or offering something that is just a little bit different than, because you can't do the same thing. You can't do the same thing of the big people that are there.
You did hit on something, and I might have painted the wrong picture of Tinley for you. Yeah. Tinley is the Mall of America where every shop is selling Kobe. It is the biggest and the highest. Okay. So
gotcha.
It's the duty-free shop at the Paris airport, man. It is, it's the top. But what you just said is actually really, really key. And it does go back to something that I've tussled with friends, Stephen and Courtney, over for a long, long time. At the end of the day, if you don't have something that's your own or what you're known for,
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to stand out?
Yeah.
At Tinley, I may or may not be known for anything, probably not, other than like my show and that I breed ball pythons. I had literally 2 snakes that I think were unique to anything else in that room. Now, neither of them sold, but it was what I could pitch to people when they came to my table.
Mm-hmm.
At the Minneapolis show, I might have 15 snakes that are unique in that room.
Gotcha. Okay.
At the Snake Discovery show, the majority of my display might be unique to what's in that room. There might only be 1 or 2 other ball python breeders that have that. And that's the unique differentiation that I do think makes a difference too. There were some, and we're into overtime now. There are some comments to clarify. Nixon said, shows are rough to justify. I don't think that they make up a good portion of my revenue. So I'm okay with them. The startup costs of doing shows are hard to justify. And once I had the startup costs, they're actually pretty good. And the shows around here are very relatively inexpensive to do. Other than Tinley, I think the most I pay for a table is $100, and that is the cold-blooded expo. The other tables are like $40 to $60. No problem. Get in the game. They're great. I do like Jessica's idea. I sell nicer stuff on Morph Market. Just get the conversation going. Troy at Balls and Strikes. I haven't read all these comments. Troy does a lot of shows and does well at shows. Now he could be lying to me, but I don't think he has anything to lie about, and would probably throw money in my face if he wanted to prove that he wasn't lying. So Troy does a lot of shows, and Troy has nice stuff, but he also has, the caliber of stuff that I would sell at shows. So I think there is a model there. So I think some of it is figuring out the fish, the pond, who are you, where's your sweet spot, and how can you differentiate, I guess, in case anybody needed earth-shattering news to tie everything up there.
But also if you stay in the pond where the pond only allows you to grow so big. Like you're not going to get bigger.
You got to challenge yourself. Yeah.
Is to grow beyond, then you do have to venture out. And that's when you have to start being creative about what you're presenting.
To use another water analogy, it's really valuable to be in just a little bit over your head. Anywhere in life, I've done the best when I'm in just a little bit over my head.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you either have to figure it out or you're not going to succeed. So I like that challenge. I like that pressure. I had a performance review one time that says Adam's always focusing on what's next rather than just staying the lane. And I was like, and it was negative. And I was like, yeah, what the hell are you? What business are we running here? Of course we have to be looking at what's next. And that was one of those moments where I go, oh, we're clearly not quite aligned here. So yeah, there we go. Joe, we're 5 minutes over, man. And are you still homebound? You still got to
still homebound. Yeah. I
right.
still have an IV. Like I have a PICC line in my body.
Different tube.
Yeah, I got a different tube, and I have to take IV antibiotics every day.
Gotcha.
So, and that'll be for a few more weeks. So, and I can't go anywhere while this is taking place. So, but it's just an hour a day. But because like insurance won't cover it unless I am considered homebound. But
yeah,
I am energetic. I feel good. Like I could go anywhere. Really, it's just I'm not supposed to.
Gotcha. There's a lot of people on house arrest these days that do it just fine. You're gonna have to figure it out. Like, oh, you can make a little pretend ankle bracelet for yourself out of your old tube. You could, I have to today. We are so my son's birthday was a few days back. And one of his presents was that we were going to take he and his friends. the dang mall, the Mall of America has an amusement park with roller coasters in it. We're going to the Mall of America amusement park. I've never been to this mall.
Yeah.
If I made a list of all the things I would be excited to do in life, going to any mall, much less the largest mall in America that has a roller coasters, is not on my list, but that's what we're going to go do today.
Oh man, that's fun, man.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have a good time. Yeah. So, but I've got to take 3 tween age boys to the Mall of America. And as I was doing my research on this, Mall of America clearly states anyone under 14 unsupervised will be ejected or detained.
Oh, so you got to be.
I can't even set them free and get on my laptop and do work. I gotta be
ejected or detained. Gee, that seems.
They've been.
It seems like there's some kind of incident that took place and they needed to develop a policy.
There's a lot. They have dogs actively on patrol. Well, no, I mean, hey, I'd rather them keep it safe than not, I guess.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
In that way, I feel pretty good about it. But it's I don't know. We'll go see. Yeah, maybe I will do a mall reel today. Maybe I'll do live from the.
Are you?
From the mall.
Is it spring break for Charlie?
It is spring break for Charlie.
Yeah, that's cool.
Also known as a fortnight, half fortnight. There you go. That's a really nerdy pun. All he's been doing is playing Fortnite for a week straight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We had to talk about it. It's too much, to be honest. Yeah.
It's Easter this week.
That's right. Yeah, Easter for everybody. Those of y'all celebrating, it is the holiest of the weeks, as I understand it.
The 31st is Easter, and that's also my birthday. So I'll be celebrating this weekend.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Waking up on the right side of the grass, man. It's always better to look down on the grass than to look up at it, brother.
Right. So I don't know what we're gonna do. See what happens. But we'll be celebrating on Sunday. That'll be fun.
House party. You're not going anywhere, pal.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, or you could get smuggled out of the house. Like you could do this whole role play thing where you have to get smuggled out of the house and you go have a Miller Lite and a chicken wing somewhere, All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I think we hit a new record for Proper Cup of Joe today. We had 35 at one point today. So I appreciate everybody. Check out Cold Blooded Cafe, Proper 11. All the codes have reset. If you used it before, use it again. And thanks to the audience, Joe. Thank you. Keep getting better in all seriousness, man.
Thank you. It was great to be with everybody. Have a great week.